this gives me an idea. Yeah, this should be good. Right. Here we go. Jump pad! Yeah, that's right, bitch. How you like me now? So, it's been a long time since we last spoke. And much has happened, in fact. Let's just do this in quickfire then. Stark's disbanded, Lorraine's reformed. There's been multiple backstabs, betrayals, and wars, and just ridiculously drawn out conflicts. We've been through some low points, some high points, and it has just been a complete and total clusterfuck. But yeah, after I stepped down from the High Command, I became a Sir. Right, I wasn't even a Lord anymore. And I have to say, being a Sir in the Lannisters, great gig. You don't get told off, you don't get bullied by Gunzo. Oh, it's lovely. And you can play as whatever class you want, which I've never done before, because when I was a Lord I thought, oh, I better stay infantry, because, you know, I'm shit at Cav and archers are boring. And then there's that other class. So yeah, I actually played as Cav for a bit, and I would like to give you my guide to Cav. Done. You are now Master Cavalryman. Use these skills wisely, for they can be perilous in the wrong hands. But my foray into Cav was cut short because, you know, I got made Lord again, so I can't play as Cav anymore because I just get everyone killed. Guess I don't mind being a Lord. It means I can say I'm Lord fucking Qyburn still. It's got a ring to it. I'm Sir fucking Qyburn. It's just not as good. And it's Qyburn, by the way. That's how you pronounce it. Not Queeburn. Or Queefbum, for that matter. That's what Posh calls me. Piece of shit. Mind you, I'm Lord fucking Queefbum, son. It's a nice little rhyme, isn't it? One of my duties as a Lord is to sort of keep people entertained, like Tav will fuck off for a cigarette or whatever, and he'll be like, Jumpad, entertain the men. So I'll get them to do certain things, and I tell you, this is great. Have you ever wondered what 50 people, all heavy breathing at once, sounded like? Well, wonder no more. Alright, lads, you ready? Ready? Go. Yeah, pretty good analogy there for the Lannister TS in general, I think. Mother of God! Okay, we're going to move on to war now. The stuff I'm about to show you happened a really long time ago, but this is one of the greatest periods of what, like, you know, the way a military arc works, like, certain factions will band together and they'll form alliances and they'll stick together and they'll fight. Normally us. It's normally how it works out. And they'll experience success or they won't, or, you know, so on and so forth. And that's how an arc of military action generally works. This is one of the finest arcs of military action I have ever been a part of. So I'd be remiss if nobody ever saw this. Let's go. The Lorraines. Unfriends. Just for the sake of context in this conflict, when the Lannisters returned, the Lorraines merged with the Lannisters, but eventually they splintered and formed their own faction again. This created quite a stir in the community, and a ton of factions rallied around them in an attempt to overwhelm us. Only time would tell if they'd be successful. This was our first major war against them, and it's the closest thing you'll ever see to an impromptu field battle. The Lorraine cavalry moved out from Vorniston towards Sargoth and engaged our cavalry in Praven Field. Our cavalry was successful in driving them back towards Praven, and our infantry moved to Praven Fort, and this was where we would challenge the Lorraine mobility.
You're going to have a lot of heavy cav hit you, if they're heavy cav turns around. Protect the banner.
Well, yeah. Shortly after I died, the combined Lannister and Connington Cav showed up and drove the Lorraines from the field. The war perpetuated for about an hour longer. I guess you could say we won this little conflict because we took the ground and recovered the gear. Albeit not all of it. It was a Pyrrhic victory, put it like that. But the war was never concluded. We never took Vorniston, they never took Montabell. However, to be fair, I think we killed so many of their Cav that they stopped sending Cav. Either that or there was some kind of order to stop sending Cav out. I don't know. Point is, hostility eventually just died out. We went back to Montebello, they went back to Vaughan. No scores drawn. You might ask, why didn't we take Vaughan? Simple answer is there was 90 of them. We're not going to take a castle off a 90-man faction. Just, it's never been done, and it never will happen, unless it's a ninja camp or whatever. Still, it was an element which came to characterise this arc of conflict. Numbers. Overwhelming numbers. Not in our favour. A few days later, there was a war. I wasn't online at the time, and the banners were called. I rushed to the aid of my faction members, and I tried to get in the server, and there is no possible way I could have anticipated what lay for me on the other side. Coalition of insurmountable proportions overwhelmed us that day. It ushered in a new feeling that maybe we weren't immortal, maybe the Lannisters could be killed, and that belief would be put to the test just 2 days later. I have to say, there was something about the defeat we suffered at Montebello that threw us into a bit of a tailspin. I mean, we'd been beaten before, but not in that way, where we could barely even put up a fight, and we had a proper faction up. So it was quite a shock to some people. I can't really think of a time in the Lannisters when we had such a low point as well. After that, we were struggling to get numbers on, struggling to get outside our castle because of the scale of the alliance that was against us made it impossible. I had multiple occasions where I had to reassure people, look, things are going to change, okay? They always go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. All we needed was a chance to restore hope, and that chance came. We were in Montebello on Game of Thrones, modelled after our home turf of Casterly Rock. This was where we would stand and defeat our enemies, and restore hope. Well, we'd try at least. Once again, I don't have all the details as to how these guys mobilised. What I do know is that the Starks and the Lorraines joined forces for this. So the Starks arrived in battle array, and the Lorraines showed up and joined them, like the brothers they are. By the sheer grace of Dolan, we had survived. It is extremely rare to see a siege or any fight come down to the wire like that. So many times they almost capped, and so many times we threw them back. There were so many dead people on the map at that point that no gear could be found after the fight. Everyone lost their gear. It was amazing. And just like that, hope was kindled. Shortly after, on Radaran, we made plans to war the Lorraines and their allies in their castle. We assembled at the Merc camp ready to declare war, but their numbers shot up to about 80, so we couldn't actually declare. So we just waited in the Merc camp, see what would happen. Maybe they would declare on us and come out, who knows. And then we beheld something that I don't think any of us expected to happen.
Going on inside Arkham, they're all killing each other.
Oh, I see. We should take the opportunity and declare.
Oh, actually, the inner keep right door is almost ready. This could be another ruse.
This is a ruse, then it's a highly elaborate one, and kudos to them.
Declare, see what they're doing at the keep.
Hold on, I have
if all the killing stops when we declare, then
In the end, it turned out not to be a ruse. No, the Lorraines and Martells got kicked out of their faction, which cut their numbers in half. So naturally, we attacked, and we stomped them like there was barely even a contest. I think the Lorraines and Martells broke all the gates on the way out, so we took their castle, and the Martells and Lorraines were denied access to another faction. So we rode around the map, found them as commoners, started to imprison them. Most of them died. In terms of conclusive victories, it's pretty damn conclusive. Although it didn't exactly happen through strength of arms, for me this ended this arc of conflict. The ridiculously large alliances were dead after this. Well, for a while at least. The Lorraines still had plenty of fight left in them, and we pursued wars with them for a great deal of time after that, and we still are to this day. But that is another story for another time.